I'm here at the European Climate Change Adaptation Conference. I'm talking to Philippe Tulkens, who is Deputy Mission Manager for the Mission on Adaptation to Climate Change. He's also Head of Unit for Climate and Planetary Boundaries at the Research and Innovation Directorate General of the European Commission. Philippe, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
All right. So we're here at an adaptation conference. So I think the obvious first question to ask you is, tell us about the work of the mission on adaptation.
So the mission is an experiment. What we try is really use RNI outputs to transform society at local and regional level by bringing them greater resilience to climate change. Of course, this is about adapting to climate change. And there are plenty of excellent results, solutions that can be implemented, and it's urgent to accelerate the deployment of these solutions on the ground. And that is the goal of the mission, but not to do this everywhere in Europe at once. This is not possible. We work with a limited number of regions and local entities, those who are willing to accelerate the pace of progress towards resilience in deploying these solutions. And there we connect research and innovation community with the local authorities, and I believe this is a very interesting experience, novel, and it is delivering now.
Okay, can you give us some examples of the regions that you're working with and some of the solutions that?
Of course, I can give several examples, and those can be found on the portal of the mission, where we have mission stories describing the examples. But the simple one is the regions and or local authorities who decide to deploy a nature-based solutions on their in their area to increase the resilience to water extremes, be it excess of water or lack of waters. In the Netherlands, they are particularly good for that, in particular for managing excess of water. They are learning through the mission in dealing with lack of water. In Portugal, they are, of course, more used to lack of water. They are also learning from others on how to address extreme events. So this cross-fertilization of knowledge across the EU allows to actually design and deploy projects that are better, more suitable, and also economically adequate.
Okay. And so what trends are you seeing in terms of adaptation? I mean, we're hearing a lot about how climate change is accelerating faster than we're adapting. Are you seeing that that's making people wake up?
Yes, but it's not straightforward. I would say much effort have been done, at least in the policies, on mitigation. It was fully justified because the best way to adapt is first to reduce emission and therefore mitigate. But people tend to forget that it's not enough. We need also to adapt to climate change to increase our resilience. And we will face some climate damages anyway, even with our mitigation policies. So the preparedness is, the awareness on the need to prepare is improving, but not everywhere at the same pace. And this is what the mission can contribute to, is making sure that more regions, more local authorities and the people themselves know better what are the risks that they may face and how to address them. Of course, we had some major events in Valencia, in Slovenia, in Wallonia earlier on in 2021, and in other places in Europe that raised the attention of people. But often people forget quickly as well. We need to keep this alive, and we need to provide them with solutions for climate resilience.
So you mentioned knowledge transfer before, and obviously certain regions looking to other regions. What are the challenges of facilitating that knowledge transfer between different regions, between different stakeholders?
There are many challenges. One is the capacity of researchers to communicate with the local authorities. Sometimes we have to use intermediaries, consultants, and others, because researcher is not their goal. Yeah. The goal of researcher is to develop knowledge. Somebody should take this knowledge, understand it, and convey it to those who will decide. And then also involve those who need to implement the solutions. Nature-based solutions are rather new. not all engineers and land planners are used to deploy nature-based solutions. It's a whole education of a cohort of people that needs to happen. This is one challenge. Sometimes there are some excellent tools that are provided through digital platforms or digital twins, but those are still very technical, and it's another barrier. So we need people who can be the actors of the transfer of knowledge themselves. And those can't be the researchers themselves. They have other things to do. But we need to organize this whole chain. And it works in some countries, in some local areas, where clearly the local authorities know the researchers and know the people who can translate the research output into usable knowledge for their decisions.
Well, interesting that you mentioned that, because that's a key objective of the MAIA project, which obviously I'm involved in on the communication dissemination side. So I think this seems like a good time to ask you what you're expecting from the MAIA project.
Oh, we have great expectation. We are, of course, very demanding. MAIA is an EU-funded project, and we know how difficult this bit of the research innovation value chain is, communicating and transferring the knowledge. But I would say what I expect is very good cases on what are the practices that work best. And MAIA should not be shy of telling us what didn't work. Often we are being informed on the successes, and all these reporting are very nice, polished, and so on. But actually, we learn also a lot from our failures. And there will be successes and failures also in MAIA, as in any research activity. And a balanced reporting, really listing the best practices, the most effective practices, and also what errors should not be reproduced by others would be extremely useful.
All right, great. So from your time in the mission on adaptation, any key learnings that you can share with us? Any moments you're particularly proud of?
Oh, I'm not proud yet, because we need to continue this until 2030. If we manage and we show the success, that will be fantastic. But I must say one thing, is that I'm really impressed by the feedback that we received, that is very positive from the local authorities and regional authorities. They see this mission as useful, and this needs to be known everywhere, also in Brussels. And another issue is that people still see the climate issue in a simplistic way. It's a very complex problem, and it's not sufficient just to reduce emission. We need to adapt, and even adaptation solutions are not that easy. We are here in Rimini. The solution to increasing temperature is not more air conditioning. This is the example of maladaptation. So we need to engage in conversation with people so that they can understand the complexity of the problem, but that should not make them walk away. It's not because the issue is complex that there are no solutions. There are solutions, those can be implemented, but we need to take the time to explain them properly and deploy them.
And things really need to be translated down to sort of regional and local level, right?
For sure. And this is what we try to do. 70% of the funding going to the mission is devoted to demonstration projects on the ground, something we want to take a picture of when it's deployed. And this, thanks to this and the mission, people will see that those are workable solutions that are also affordable.
All right. So we're here at the Climate Change Adaptation Conference. Is there any key takeaways from this event, or any learnings you want to share?
It's not finished yet, so we will see. We had the plenary session and breakout sessions, so I will wait for tomorrow to see the conclusion. But overall, first, the interest for adaptation is growing, despite the extremely difficult geopolitical context we operate in. But we should not take this for granted, and it's very important to repeat the message that mitigation needs to be pursued, adaptation as well, that solutions are there, and municipalities, regional authorities need to engage to deploy the solution. Another good news is that finance is not the problem. It's the access to finance that is the key. And there are some ways to do this. And the mission is providing technical assistance on access to finance. All these opportunities need to be seized by the actors.
Yeah, because I understand there's a lot of climate finance out there that's being committed, but not that much of it gets down to regional level, right?
Yeah, and most of the climate finance still goes to mitigation and not to adaptation. But I'm not, of course, arguing that we should reduce the finance going to mitigation. Not at all. But we need to consider both and together. Because at no point should adaptation policy worsen the problem on the other end, and vice versa.
All right, so less kind of a siloed approach to the problems.
Indeed, systemic approach, systemic solutions, which requires good researchers, open-minded, combination of social science with natural science, open-minded engineers, and many other actors who can talk and discuss together.
And like you said, those key people who can translate research into action, right? All right, we've covered quite a lot. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Any key messages that you want our audience to take away?
Continue to disseminate the results. Maybe what I can suggest is, since these projects are funded through the research program, it's important to provide feedback to those who actually decide on the budget and the investment on the research, on the usefulness of this type of activities for research innovation as well. Because sometimes some people say, but this is going to activities that are not really research. Actually, transformative change is a new and real research topic that needs to be investigated in. This is reported in the IPCC, in IP-based reports, and we need to do more of this. And this is truly useful research that serves societal challenges.
All right. Philippe Tulkens, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of experience and your insights with us.
Thank you.